Now, dog walkers and kennel owners have called for stricter controls on the number of animals each person is allowed to exercise to protect both the dog walker and the public. Well, it comes following a dog attack, which ultimately resulted in the death of a 28-year-old woman in Surrey. Canine owners across the nation have been left in shock.
Two Dachshunds, a Leonberger, are among 8 dogs who were seized by the council. This comes as a second woman who received treatment for bites has since left hospital.
Well, we can now speak to Webb, who's a dog behaviourist and nutritionist, and she joins us on the line now. Good morning to you, Anna. I mean, this is such tragic news, isn't it? Really distressing, and the details are still coming out. Of course, a lot of it still isn't clear. But what do you make of what happened as a professional? What is your sense of what happened with what we believe were 8 animals being walked by a dog walker?
Yes, good morning, Ellie. Good morning, Paul. I mean, honestly, shock doesn't really, describe it properly, to be honest with you. I mean, it's absolutely unbelievable what's happened. What I believe happened was that this lovely young lady was walking 8 dogs, which is over the recommended, if you like, limit across the nation. The problem is dog walkers are not regulated. So if somebody does decide to walk 8 dogs, it's only recommended that the maximum is 6. But for me, walking 6 dogs is too much, Ellie. For me, I think really somebody can walk 2 dogs, but certainly 8. If an incident were to occur, this is what I always say to people. For example, if a dog slips its collar, runs to a main road, gets hit by a car, what is that dog walker, going to do with the other 7 dogs? So here is an incident where what I understand happened was she was walking along with her dogs all on lead when another dog invaded their group and caused a fracas where the dogs became a bit reactive, overexcited. One thing led to another. She's holding 8 dogs, one of which is a Leonberger. Now, what I also understand from this is, which I find extremely interesting and it's close to my heart, that none of these breeds were, labelled as, in inverted commas, dangerous dogs. A Leonberger, we've got a picture of one up on the screen right now, is a very large dog. Look, Dachshunds, they are listed in the top 10 most popular breeds at the moment. They're great dogs. None of these dogs are, in inverted commas, dangerous, although I do believe that it's never the breed of dog that you need to look at here, but it is the socialization and the training of a dog. And what we're facing at the moment, post-pandemic, with a huge surge in dog ownership, is I honestly believe that the face of dog ownership is changing now to a level where we do need to look at what's going on. You see, I have dogs, and the reason I have dogs is because I love walking them. So I will always walk my own dogs. And I feel that the message now with people is that you don't walk your own dogs, you hire a dog walker. And I think this must change. So there's this aspect. I think there's social misconceptions as to what dogs are and how you should live with dogs. A situation occurred. I think the dog walker tried to split up a fight between 1 or 2 of her dogs and these dogs which invaded their environment, and things really just got out of control. I think the leads wrapped around her legs, she was brought to the ground, and they misplaced their energy and frustration and angst and attacked her. I mean, it is extraordinary. I don't think anything like this, as far as I know, has ever happened, in modern times before. But then I've also heard reports that there were 2 other dogs off lead, out of control, running around the park area, that after, causing this situation with her and her dogs, continued to chase 2 women on horseback, causing one of the horses to bolt, which is a dangerous situation. And the rider fell off the horse. Fortunately, she wasn't, too badly injured, but the horse was actually heading to a main road. So that could have caused, a massive problem, car incident and all the rest of it. So what this is really underlining, and I think everyone speaking out about this is saying the same thing, we need tighter regulation. We need to understand that dogs are dogs and dogs love to be with their owners. And walking your own dog not only brings great benefits to the individual who owns the dog, but it's also best for the dog's well-being.
Anna, I was just wondering, what do you mean by tighter regulation there? Because there are laws in place already, and councils can stipulate in their jurisdiction how many, the maximum limit for dog walkers. I understand you're talking about a change in behaviour and in the way, and in terms of people should be more responsible for their dogs and walk them themselves. I understand that. But when you say tighter regulation, what are you talking about exactly? I mean, previously in the past, there have been ongoing calls for all dog owners to go through some sort of mandatory training. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, partly, yeah, absolutely. That there should be some qualifications for dog walkers, and first aid kits should go out with dog walkers. But, even with these recommendations, like I know Northamptonshire just before Christmas announced that their dog walkers must not walk more than 4 dogs at any one time. However, in a given situation like this, even 4 dogs would be too many. You've got to understand dogs aren't robots. Dogs are individuals. Dogs come in lots of different shapes and sizes. And, they're sentient beings, where something like on a windy day like today, walking dogs in the wind can cause them to get a bit spooked, get a bit feisty. You never ride a horse on a windy day. The wind apparently goes up their tail and they are more difficult to control. So there's all of these different factors. And I just think, we are losing sight of dogs as being incredible creatures that definitely are not dangerous when they are raised responsibly, socialised responsibly, and people put time and energy into their dogs. Dogs are a commitment. They're not a convenience. And I just think through no fault of dogs, due to the pandemic, a lack of socialisation opportunities and a lack of real understanding that, not all dogs like other dogs, just as all people, most people don't like each other. We have this massive war going on in Ukraine. I mean, I think it says a lot. So we have to understand that, man's best friend is probably the greatest gift to humankind that we spent 30,000 years domesticating for lots of great reasons. And it's a tragedy. Please, and I can't imagine how this has actually happened. I'll be honest with you. I mean, shock doesn't describe my feelings on this. And I feel awfully, you see the legal ramifications of this. I mean, I want to bring in the dog. I think bringing in the dog license would be the best idea ever. And to use a DVLA scheme where owners and, their appointed dog walkers receive points and penalty points in situations where they may not pick up their dog's poop, which is going on at the moment. I know. I've trodden in a lot lately, and it does upset me greatly. And bring in just like with our cars. Yeah. So that's one aspect. But the other big problem here is the owners of these dogs, under law, are now responsible for what has happened, which is that a human being has lost their life. Now, I believe these dogs are in kennels being, assessed, and none of them have been euthanized yet. But under the law, all of these dogs could be put to sleep. And it's their owners, who weren't even with their dogs at the time, that are ultimately deemed liable. Yeah. And there's jail sentences and huge penalties. And
that's a really good point, Anna. That's a really good point. We're going to have to leave it there, though. But thank you so much for giving us your thoughts. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Anna Webb, dog behaviourist and host of A Dog's Life podcast. We know a lot of you are dog owners at home. Do let us know your thoughts on that. Should you have to get a licence if you want to own a dog? What do you think about having more regulation? Obviously, we don't know the facts. The police haven't given much detail as to this incident in Caterham, tragic though it is. But for now, do you think that if you own a dog, or if you want to get a dog, that you should have to have a licence to have one?
Or do you think there should be strict controls on the number of dogs that a dog walker is able to walk at any which time? There is contradictory advice from different councils across the country. Is it time for a change? Let us know what you think. GBviews@gbnews.uk.